Sorry, my screen seems to be a little grubby. Right, I've cleaned it now. Hello. Good afternoon. It's Emma ringing in from Nurturing by Nature at the Upton store. I'm in our kitchen that we use. We don't make anything here, but this is our kitchen. It's attached to a room that we sometimes have meetings in. And today's topic of discussion info video is about ingredients and ingredient labels when you're in the shops, what you're looking at. So hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. We're diving into a topic close to our hearts, the food that our beloved pets eat. Understanding pet food labels can be really confusing, and today I'm going to help you go through what's on the labels and see if I can help to demystify some of that for you, and then we can discuss some good diets and bad diets for your cats and dogs. So when you're in a supermarket, now obviously we feed raw, so we know exactly what's going into our food. Our raw food is 100% what it says on the packet. So like this packet here is chicken and lamb. There's nothing else in there apart from chicken and lamb. There's no fillers, no additives. We don't add anything in it, and the way we preserve it is that we freeze it. So you know exactly what you're getting from us. And then for context, this product here, $1.69 we start out at for the plain chicken, which is really good value. However, when you're in the supermarkets, when you're first starting out, when you've got a pet, you don't even realize, we're just trying to help you to help your pets and do what you can do to change a few things in their diet to see what you can do just to help them to maybe have a bit better if that makes sense. So it's really important, if you're able to, read the pet food labels that you are getting on your food. So take some time. If you're not a raw feeder, take some time in the supermarkets or wherever you go to buy your pet food and read the ingredients, because it might surprise you to know that if a product is called chicken, it only has to contain 4% of chicken in that to be called chicken legally on the front. Even worse is if it says chicken flavor, it might not even have any chicken in at all. They put something in that's chicken flavored, and in that meat, it could be anything in there. It will say with meat and animal derivatives, and it doesn't even have to disclose what meat is in there. So if you've got a pet with allergies, it's really, really important that you read the labels to make sure that you know what you're feeding your pet. So based on that, I have dug into some of the foods. I was in the supermarket the other day. I've had a look at the labels to see if I can help you so you can understand what they mean. So here I've cut one out here, and I didn't line their pockets. I've just taken some pictures as well and written them down of what was in them. So I didn't want to line their pockets, but I have got one here just to give you an idea. This is a complete pet food. I've cut it out, so I don't want to get into trouble. You know what it's like. Complete pet food with animal for adult small dogs. And in the composition means what it's made up of, is cereals. So the first ingredient on the list of ingredients is the biggest thing that's in there. So this is cereals, and it's 35%. And then it goes on to say meat and animal derivatives. Now this is a product which is it's called like a beefy flavor or beefy meal. And this is what is in it. So it says it's got 16% of meat and animal derivatives in there. When rehydrated, it's equivalent to 32% meat and animal derivatives with a minimum of 14% beef. So it could be all beef, it could just be a minimum of 14% beef. So they're telling you it's got beef in it somewhere. This has actually got some beef in. It's not just beef flavor. So when I was looking into this, I was like quite surprised that something could be called beef flavor and not even contain any beef at all. Yeah, that was this one here. It was 720 grams for 85p. So I know, hi Mrs. Holmes, how are you? I know cost is important, and whatever you can do is best. Obviously, fed is best. But just bear this in mind. You've got 720 grams of a chub roll, which is like a sausagey shaped thing of meat, which is kept in a non-protective atmosphere. It's obviously been heat treated at some point, and it's in this plastic roll, like a big sausage, with little ties on the end. 720 grams costs only 85p, so that should be a bit of a red flag. It's a wet food. It's in a plastic sausage, a 1 kilo chub, 85p, which is called beef flavour. And in that, there's no beef, potentially, no beef. It's got meat and animal derivatives of 14% fresh meat. So fresh meat is better than some, rather than meat meal. That's more of a great, like a ground down product that's been made into, it contains meat, and they put that in. So that really is it's not sweepings off the factory floor, but it's really the bottom, the scrape in the barrel with the meat meal. Vegetable protein extract, basil oil, that's great. And then it's got additives in it of antioxidants, gelling agents, sensory additives, and colorants. And this is the part here. So this product is beef flavor. And though they're just counting on you picking up the word beef on there. So they go, oh, that's great, that's beef. I'm going to get that because my dog likes beef. And the flavorings and colorants in there is beef flavoring. So that's how they get away with calling it beef. It doesn't even have necessarily beef in it. It's just got 14% fresh meat, and the rest of it is made up of vegetable protein extracts. It doesn't even give you what that is. It could be cereals, it could be grains. We don't know because it's all a vegetable. It's all that type of thing anyway. So, we don't really know what that is. So it's basically called flavor because of the added flavor. So although it says chicken, or if it says beef flavor, if you can move on to a better food, then try your best to, because it could be any type of meat. It doesn't even have to be the beef that it says. And then this one here I was going over, this has got the cereals in. So the biggest component in your pet food has to be one of the first things that's in the ingredients list. So when you're looking at the composition on the back of the pet food packaging, that's where you're looking at to see what's in your pet food. And if it's cereals, if it starts with cereals, I personally try and avoid that, because obviously we like to feed raw, and meat is what our animals are really, really attuned and well, ours are anyway, aren't they? They're really good at eating the meat. So it doesn't suit everyone, and you've got to do what's best for you and for your budget. But if you can go on to a better food than those chubs, then that would be brilliant. The next one I picked up was an own brand little tin, like this sort of size, wet food, 150 grams, 49p. So a little bit more expensive than the 720 grams for 85p. And this is called a complete tinned wet food, complete pet food for adult dogs. It was a pate with beef and turkey. So they can put beef and turkey on the front because they have put 4% of beef and 4% turkey in it. And 4% will come up again and again when you're looking at the cheaper foods, because it has to be a minimum of 4% to be able to be called beef or turkey or chicken. It has to have 4% in. And then it says meat and animal derivatives and derivatives of vegetable origin and minerals. It doesn't even have a very good breakdown of what those are at all. The chicken one, again, 4% chicken. So if you're going to go for one of those, one with beef and turkey is going to be better because it's got more meat in it. You've got two meats in there. But yes, that 4% is no coincidence. That's what has to be the minimum in a pet food packaging for it to be called it on the front. And if it says flavour, it means it probably hasn't got it in it at all, because they can use that word to get around it. So it's sort of, it's not tricking you, it's what you can get, that's what's out there. It's just making you aware of what the wording is on there for them to be able to sell it as it is. The best one that I found in the supermarket was a wet food pouch again. So these are all wet foods. I have got the dry little pack here, this one here, but these are all wet foods. And this one was an adult dog complete for all dogs 8 weeks and onwards. It was $137 per 400 grams. There was 16 pouches in this pack, and this was turkey with potato and vegetables, and it had 65% in of turkey and chicken, and 26% of that turkey and chicken was freshly prepared turkey. So it means that they're putting actual turkey meat in it. The other bit would maybe be made of meal, which is ground down bits of meat that's been put together to turn it into a meal. And then this one's also got 14% vegetables with 4% potato, and then it's got quite a few other things in. So that was probably one of the better ones in the supermarket because it is freshly prepared. It does say it on there, and it doesn't mention anything to do with a flavour. And these are all complete. All these packets are, maybe not the chub roll, but these are all deemed to be a complete food that you could feed to your pet over and over again with them getting everything that they need. So Nurturing by Nature, we don't make a complete diet. We advocate you that to feed a variety over time, to get a complete diet over time rather than per meal. Some of you are amazing and you will make up a complete bowl at a time and you'll put everything in there that your pet needs. But you don't have to do that. You can just do it by feeding a variety. And we always talk you through and say that if you're just feeding chicken, you need to feed more. Or what else are you going to feed alongside that to make sure your pet gets everything they need? So we'd like to think ourselves to be quite responsible in that matter. And our food, like this one here, this is 500 grams of chicken and lamb. Our food comes in at 100% of whatever it says on the outside of there. So this is chicken and lamb. It's a good example, actually. So there's 70% chicken in there and 30% of whatever meat. So this is lamb, but we might have fish, we might have beef, depending on what mix it is. If it's 100% chicken, it will say 100%. If it's 100% lamb, 100% beef, it will say 100% on it. You know, it might be made up of beef, meat, heart, and maybe tripe, but it is 100% from a cow. The liver mixes that we do, we only put 5% of liver in because that's a recommended amount. And if you put more than that in, we've noticed it will make runny tummies. So we only stick with 5% of the liver. And our 500 gram meats like these only start at £1.69. 200 grams start at 69p. So we cater for dogs and cats in these sizes. Lots of people come in for these. This gentleman this morning had a Chihuahua, and one of these feeds his Chihuahua for a day and a half. So with our food and with the raw food and however you choose to feed it, you're in control because you can choose what you put in their meals. You can choose what you include and what you don't include to suit your home life, to suit your pet. So it's a really nice way. And when you're eating your food as well, you know, a lot of people say, oh, it's not complete, but as long as you feed a balance over time, you should be absolutely fine. And we're always going to help you with that if you ever need any help. So do get in touch. We'll help you. So that's it, really. I wanted to just go over that. There are some excellent foods out on the market. I was just having a look at two of the ones that we do sell at our Westmoor store, which is the Origin and the Acana. Origin, broken down, contains 76% meat plus 5% egg. And this has got peas in and lentils and chickpeas, but only 3%. And it's got lentils in and beans at 1% with some pollock oil. So this is a really huge mixture of different things you feed. And actually, this is one of the ones that we feed alongside the chicks and the chicken for our cat because he's a monkey and goes out and feeds around and about. So this one's brilliant. This is the Origin. So if you're looking for a dry food, even though they have been taken over by Mars, at the moment their ingredients continue to stay the same. So we are continuing to sell them. It's made in Canada as well. And that's the same with the Acana, although they've got 60% of animal ingredients. We're like chicken, raw flounder, I balanced it out with 40% veg. That's quite a lot of veg. But it works because they've worked it out for you, so you can feed that as a complete, and you can feed that. That's great for going on holiday, taking it with you camping, that sort of thing. You haven't got to freeze it. If you run out of your raw food, you've got something to back you up. The other thing that you could think about is freeze-dried as well. So they do freeze-dried raw. This is one of them. This is Nature's Variety. We sell some of these online. You see a few online. You see some in the stores as well. We have a little amount of these just to top you up and give you an idea of what else you could look at. So the good thing about this here, it says its composition is made of beef, 80% beef in here. So there's just beef meat in here, 80%, and it's deboned. So you can't freeze dry bones, not really. That's why all the freeze-dried stuff is quite concentrated when you feed it a raw. It's just the meat. They can't freeze-dry the bones. But it says 80% beef, deboned beef meat, 50% beef lung. No, sorry, 50% beef meat, 30% beef lung. And then it's got carrots and apples, pea fibre, butternut, squash, sweet potato, tiny percentages, 1% of each of those. And they've got minerals, sunflower oil, cranberries, blackberries, flaxseed, chicory root, kale, peppermint, coconut oil, beet pulp, green tea, yucca. Green tea, I've seen that in a couple of them actually. That's come up a few times. So it's probably the antioxidant properties in green tea that they add. So they can use that to say that it does something in particular. But yeah, this is a freeze-dried raw. So although these are expensive because they are very concentrated, this would feed 1 to 2 days, it says here, but that would be for a small dog, 1 to 10 kilos adult. So that's for a little dog. So that little packet won't last you that long. But if you've got a Jack Russell and you're going away for camping for a weekend, that's a really good thing to take as well. So that would work, wouldn't it? If you didn't have the freezer space or ability to take any frozen with you, you could think about something like that. So you just need to, this is what we're looking at here as well. We're looking at the labelling here. And it says it's complete. And you probably won't be able to read that. But this is the bit here that you need to look at here. The composition, that's the part you're looking at. The analytical constituents will give you the protein and the fat that's in there. But the composition is the bit that's really important. Okay. So ingredients-wise, my dog need all the extra nutrients. Over time, they do, Luke. Yes, you do need to feed a balanced diet over time. So there, a while ago, I went through a video explaining all the vitamins and minerals that are really essential for dogs to have and where you can find them. So if you find that video, have a look and you'll be able to pick up everything that your dog needs. But you can do it over time just by feeding a variety of raw, feeding things like the lamb ribs, feeding the different mixes, even using the treats. You can use the treats to vary your pet's diet. Like I said last week, if you want to include something like a rabbit and you haven't got the opportunity to have raw rabbit, you can use some dried rabbit like the dried rabbit is, and that will give your pet extra vitamins and minerals from that. And I have got a list of different vitamins and minerals that you'll find in different foods, different meats, different fruits, and different essential things out there. So yeah, that would work. Okay, so we want to have a look at proteins. We're looking at grains and carbohydrates. So as raw feeders, we tend to avoid feeding any grains, really. Corn, wheat, rice, etc. So look on the ingredient packet and see if it actually contains any of that. Potatoes and sweet potatoes, they're also a carbohydrate. Fruits and vegetables, you can include those. Those will be on the back. But the other thing, they always have additives and preservatives, BHA, BHT, and vitamins. So if you are looking at vitamins, especially things like vitamin C, how have they been made? Because some of the companies will have a full transparency on their website. They're really, really good. And they will say if it's a synthetically made vitamin or if it's been sourced from the source. And we say things like using taurine for cats, feed hearts or feed muscle meats, because that's a natural source of taurine. It's not been produced and made anywhere else. You're getting it direct from the source. Glucosamine and chondroitin, feed joints. So they've got it in them naturally. That's going to help your pet with their mobility. So majority of these vitamins are derived from GMO corn. So I remember a little while ago, one of the raw pet food companies actually started putting vitamin C in there, and then they swapped from a natural source of vitamin C to one that was probably cheaper, and it was produced from corn. And a lady's dog had a really severe allergy to this corn and caused all sorts of problems. And that was sort of quite highlighted a while ago. But they process it with chemicals like acetone. Acetone is also known as like a nail polish remover. So there's loads of things. And we eat all sorts of bad things for us. We don't even know they're bad. I think someone highlighted the other day, like, all wraps are really good for you, but have a look at the ingredients and make sure you get the nice natural ones rather than the fully highly processed ones that are even worse for you than bread. There's so much information out there. It's an information overload, and sadly, marketing can be really misleading. So that's the whole thing what I was saying before. Did you know that a food that is marketed as chicken flavor or Well, chicken flavour is even worse. So let's go back to that. But chicken dog food, it only has to contain 4% chicken to be able to be called chicken on the packaging. That's shocking. And I think more people should be aware of it. So this is why our video's here, and so you can see. So yeah, the flavour thing, that's even worse. It doesn't even have to contain that meat at all, potentially. It might do, it might not. They don't even have to say, because it says flavour on it. Therefore, they introduce something that tastes like beef or tastes like chicken, and they're allowed to call it chicken flavour. So what are the benefits of feeding a raw diet? Obviously, we've been over this before, and last week we did an introduction to feeding raw, but the benefits are huge. You know, you've got the dental health side of things. You've got the feeding the bones, that helps to clean the teeth, the bone within the food that we make anyway, because we do mince bone within some of these. So some of these got chicken carcasses minced into them, and that is bone's really good for your dog. They get a lot from that, and these birds are really young, so the bone content is quite small. Chewing bones, that also cleans their teeth, it releases endorphins, it makes them feel good. They can digest it so much easier on a raw diet. So you don't have to feed 100% raw. You can feed a mixture of different things. That's a bit of a myth when they say you can't feed raw, and you can't feed raw and a kibble together. It's your dog. You do what you need to do for your own pet. You know, if you want to feed it at the same time, that's up to you. If you want to feed it at separate meals, all I would say is that if you're feeding a biscuit-based diet as well, then maybe avoid some of the harder bones. Your dog might not be able to digest them quite as well. But then there's loads of people that go, oh, I've been feeding raw bones from the butcher for years, so my dog's been fine. So it is horses for courses, and that your dog will tell you what suits them. Skin and coat health is massively improved when you feed a raw diet. Some dogs don't have any issues at all, but some dogs got scurfy skin. I met a lovely little dog today. He's been raw fed since he started off with this family from 2 years old. He's 2 now. From when they got him home as a puppy, he's 2. He's lovely. He's got a fantastic coat. He's got no scurf, no dandruff on him at all. He doesn't smell. You know, feeding raw makes a massive difference to them and how they are in the home. So it's almost like a choice for you. So you've got a cleaner, less stinky dog. They don't fart as much. Their poos are so much smaller. So there's absolutely loads of reasons why a raw diet is something you could look at if you were thinking about it. And then we don't really lie about what's in our food. There's nothing. We don't. A gentleman asked me where we get our chicken from. Well, I can't really tell you that, because it's, you know, there's lots of people trying to make raw food as well, so we have to protect our sources. But this is just chicken and lamb. There's nothing else in there. You can even see it. I'm just going to wipe the condensation off of there. You can see the different colours in that, so you know the meat's in there. This one's even better. This is the chicken and oily fish. You can see the scales of the fish. You can see the skin. So if you were thinking about what's in your dog's diet, you're thinking about maybe having to think about the change, then considering a raw diet is something that you should definitely think about doing if you can. And if you don't want to feed it 100%, that's fine, no problem. And then when you're looking at treats, look at the treats that are as natural as possible. We've got one here. This not much more natural than that. That's a pizzle. That's just a bull's penis. That is a chew. Dogs like to chew on that. They smell a little bit. It's going to be a bit smelly because it's natural. Or you've got this is probably a bad example, but this one here. These are the sausages. These are pork sausages. This is a little bit of one of those ones that you're like, well, we don't make this, but if you read this, it says it's a gourmet sausage, pork sausages. We sell lots of these, and they're really nice, and lots of people like them. It says 91% pork. Some of them have got some beef in as well. Not these ones necessarily, and they might have changed their ingredients, but some of the sausages out there might say pork, but have a look on the back, they might say pork and other things as well. So especially important if you're looking to avoid certain proteins for your pet. So hopefully, I don't mean to scare anyone. That's not the point of these videos. The point is to help to educate people a little bit more about things that are out there. I mean, you don't even need to get onto like greenwashing, and people do, but this is healthy food for your pet. We're as transparent and as open about it as we possibly can be, and it's frozen, so that's how we preserve what we do. We don't freeze dry it. We're not putting it into cans and heating it to high heaven. it's actually just as it is. It's frozen, so that's why it has to be treated, because it is raw meat. It has to be treated like raw meat, as if you would treat your raw meat in your own freezer or your own food. So obviously fed is best. You know, I'm not trying to be preachy, I'm not trying to be influential, I'm just saying food is obviously the best thing. If that's the best thing you can do, whatever food you can feed your pet, that's what you should do. But if you can introduce a little bit of freshness into that diet, if you can introduce a little bit of raw alongside what they're having, that's going to do them the world of good. And if you can avoid it, avoid anything called flavor, because it's not what it says on the packet, because it says beef flavor. It doesn't even have to contain beef. So that's about it for me today. Sorry if it got a bit preachy. I'm not mean to be like that at all. I just wanted to explain to you and encourage you to look at the food packaging when you're in the supermarkets, when you're buying your pet food. If you're not a raw feeder, in your pet shop, even have a look and see what's on there, and make sure the pet shop that you choose to go to, if they sell raw food, then hopefully they're going to be a lot more open to discuss that sort of thing, because they are aware of what's in the food and they want to give you the best that they can get. So do have a look at the ingredients when you're checking your pet food out in the supermarkets, because it's really, really important. And just remember, it only has to contain 4% of something to be called that. So only 40% of chicken has to be in that packet for it to be called a chicken food, you know, a food containing chicken. And if it says beef flavor, they don't even have to include beef. So hopefully that's been of informative for you. Please do have a look back through our videos, because I don't want to keep repeating myself on various things, but I want to be able to educate and help you and pick up, just continue to pass on the stuff that I've picked up from Mum and from Sue over the years, to be able to help you, because we do know what we're talking about. Nurturing by Nature was born out of a need because Fred had cancer. However, it's gone a lot more than that. Obviously, we've got the shops, we send it out all over the UK, and we haven't changed what we do, and we stick to our rules and our practices since day one. And Nettie, you know, I found Mum's book of when she started opening the shop back in 2006, August 2006, her first shop in Westmoor. So, you know, the food that she's been selling since then, and when she started to make it, hasn't really changed. We've still got the same ingredients. And all right, our packaging's not pretty, but that's not the packaging that matters. As long as it doesn't leak, you know, and we've got alternatives, we've got things that you can put it into. Our packaging is not the prettiest, I know that, but the thing that's really important to us is what's inside the packaging, the food that you're feeding to your dog. That's what we care about, and that's what we choose to spend our money on. So hopefully that's helped you. Thank you for joining me today.